Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the Power Within podcast. My name is Trevor Evers. I'm your host. And as usual, we have a very inspiring guest with an inspiring story. Her name is Jillian Skehan. And Jillian is an emotion code and body code practitioner for the last 12 years. And using this method, Jillian helps her clients to release their emotional baggage, allowing body and mind to heal and improve all areas of their lives. That sounds fantastic. And I'm delighted to have Jillian on the show today. Jillian, how are you?
Hi, Trevor. Thanks so much for having me. Great to be
here.
Very
welcome. And we were talking before you come on that I didn't know too much about emotion code and body code. So instead of researching it all day yesterday in preparation for this podcast, I decided to leave it and let you tell me all about it. So would you like to tell us how you got into it 12 years ago and how it all started for you?
Great, yeah. So I suppose a little background about me. I was working in, was just doing office work, administration, always had an interest in holistic therapies, had kind of done a few different energy therapies over the years. And then I had the great opportunity when I was made redundant back in the crash it was 2010, I was made redundant. And the company was closing. So for me, it was a super opportunity because I could then pursue what I really wanted to do. And I started studying kinesiology. So I did 2 years studying kinesiology. And then I was just about ready to open my practice. A friend, or actually my sister, sent me a link of Dr. Bradley Nelson, who developed the emotion code, and said, have a look at this guy. So I had a look at the video and couldn't believe how simple it seemed. And I love simple. Like, I like to be able to, don't work harder. Keep it more simple. So I really started to get into researching the emotion code and trying it out, and really did seem to do everything that he said it was doing. So I started my practice in 2012, bringing in the emotion code, and from there it just took off. So from there I studied the body code, which is basically it's an extension of the emotion code, but it brings in all the aspects of kinesiology as well. So brings in more of the physical stuff, like the foods, toxicities, nutrients, along with different energies and traumas and different things. It brings in kind of the whole body, more so than just dealing with the emotions. So so I just took from there, and I've been doing it ever since. Now I've brought in different things as I went along, but it's the basis is the emotion code.
And you're based in Dublin, aren't you?
In Racool in Dublin, yeah.
Yeah. And would you like to go a little bit deeper into the emotion code and explain it for me, because I'm not.
Yeah, sure.
And tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, basically it's working with the body. So our body knows everything that's ever happened from moment of conception to this moment in time is held within the subconscious. So it's just about being able to access that energy, because our body knows what's wrong, it knows why it's wrong, and it knows how to fix itself, because our bodies are designed to heal themselves. You know yourself, if you get a cut on your hand or a cold or something, you don't really have to do a whole lot, bar maybe stick a plaster over it.
Sure.
The body will heal itself. So and that's for all areas of health. The body can heal itself given the right conditions. So that's what we try to do with the emotion code and body code, is find out the conditions that the body needs in order to heal. So whether that's release the emotional traumas and stresses and things that we're holding on to, or whether it's changing the diet, or whether it's adding in supplements that we don't, or foods that we're not currently eating. So it's finding out what the body needs to heal, and the body knows itself how to do that. So it's not about me guessing what might work. It's about asking the body directly, and the body will tell us exactly what it needs to heal. So we do that. The way to connect with that energy or with the body is using muscle testing. And that's the basis of the emotion code, is muscle testing.
Right. Okay.
So, so the muscle testing, I work with, if I'm working with somebody in person, I will use their muscles. So basically it's like, I don't know if you can see there, but if I put out my hand like that, I just put a light pressure on my arm and ask it to show me a yes response, it'll hold nice and strong. Or if I say my name is Jillian, it'll hold nice and strong. if I ask it for a no response, there's a little bit of give there.
Yeah.
And then if I say, you know, my name is Joe, it's going to go. It's going to weaken like that as well. So that's kind of, it's the basis of the muscle testing. And it's just asking the body what exactly it needs to heal. So with the body code, it actually is set up on an app. So there's 6 kind of major areas within the app that we can check for imbalances. So it's just about bringing the body back to balance. So there's toxicity, as I mentioned, there's nutrition, there's pathogens as well, which I forgot to mention as well. So that's your bacterial, fungal, virus, parasites, that kind of energy.
Yes.
Misalignments. So the body can be misaligned. So when we think of misalignments, we kind of think of the back, maybe, oh, my back's out of place, or this disc out or something like that. But everything in the body can be misaligned slightly. And if it's misaligned, it doesn't work so well. So it's just finding out if there's a misalignment and what's causing that, and then correct that.
Right.
But the biggest part of the body code and the emotion code is the emotions. It's the stresses, the traumas, the different things we've been through in life that we hold on to if it's not processed. So we have something happen in life. If we process the emotion, you know, it's no issue, it's fine. But oftentimes we can't do that. So sometimes it's too traumatic to process. And sometimes we live such busy lives as well, though we don't give ourselves time to process what's happening. So I don't know about you, but like in the morning time, if you're trying to get kids out to school, and if you've got to be in work by 9 o'clock, and you know all of these different stresses happen before we even get out the door in the morning. Sometimes, we don't have time to be sitting. Oh, I'm just going to sit and process this emotion. You don't, because you've got so many things to get done that day, or you know, kids to be in school on time, or whatever it is that you're dealing with. Exactly, yeah. So they're so busy, we just have to carry on. So in the moment, then we don't process that emotion, and it's nearly like a little ball of energy that we hold on to in the body. It doesn't go anywhere, but it sticks in the body. So, and they build up over time, and as they build up and build up and build up, then they can cause some kind of imbalance for us. So whether that's, you know, a lot of the time it's physical pain. So sometimes it's physical pain, and sometimes it's emotional, spiritual, you know, mental, anxiety, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it will show eventually some way. So it's just about being able to this is what the beauty of the emotion code is. It's about releasing that energy. It's just about asking the body, what is the emotion that's contributing or causing this issue? I work with a list of emotions. So it's a little chart of emotions, a muscle test to find out what the emotion it is. So once we lock on an emotion, I find out then maybe what age it occurred. We don't need to know a whole lot about it, because we don't need to go back in and figure out what it was all about.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but my memory is not the best when it comes to things. So I could forget, you know, I could forget in an instant, you know, when something happens. So I don't have it's easier then. We don't need to go back in and rehash it again and dredge it up again. It's just release the energy.
Yeah. So you don't need to revivify the trauma.
Exactly. Yeah. We can just clear it. Yeah. Now, some people will know exactly. So if I click on you know, just say an age and an emotion, you know, if it was something major, people will go, oh, I know exactly what that is, and they'll know.
Yeah.
But if it was something maybe that wasn't, you know, too traumatic, or if it was something kind of that happened years ago, might not remember what that was. So sometimes it's just, you know, sometimes, yeah, as I said, it's not anything major sometimes. But it's just about that energy is still stuck, so we just need to release it. So the way then to release it is to use a magnet. So it's like it's bringing it up to the surface, and then I just use a magnet just to release that energy. So I'll just show. I have the magnet here, so I'll just show you. So this is, you can use any magnet. You can use a fridge magnet, and it works the same.
Right. Okay.
So it doesn't have to be anything special. But I like this one because it's just, it looks a little bit better than a fridge magnet, and kids actually love it as well because it looks like a wand. So they kind of think it's magic, what's happening. So when they're in that thinking this is something magic, that they can heal really quickly. So it's just about using it. It's just easy to hold and handle as well. So just to release it, all you do is just run it down. Oh, getting stuck by there. Just run it down a few times along the meridian system, and it just releases that. It releases that energy. So if I was working on somebody directly, I'd run it down along. I'd have them lying on the plinth, and I'd run it down along their body a few times, and that just releases the energy that way as well.
Right, fascinating. So
yeah, so when you clear or release the energy, then the body can start to rebalance itself and heal itself, because that's what it's designed to do.
Sure, because we're all born with the natural ability
to heal.
to heal.
Yeah. So it's just about allowing that to happen. So it's just, so I just work down through the body code, and just muscle test and asking the body exactly what it is. And so whether it's emotional or, like I would say from my work and what I've been doing over the last 12 years is, I'd say more than 90% of our issues go back to emotional stresses and traumas that we've been through. There's an element, of course, of more of the physical stuff like the pathogens, and generally the body's nearly weakened by the emotional stresses and stuff already for the pathogens to kind of affect us.
Sure. So, and would it be usually from childhood, these traumas, these experiences, or would it be built up over time, I suppose?
It's built up over time, yeah. So it could be all through our lives. Now, do you maybe there was an original trauma maybe in childhood, but we'll kind of, that'll affect us all through life. So nearly sometimes if there's an initial trauma in life, we'll recreate that situation over and over and over again. And so until we get to a stage where, I want to heal this, and then we can release. And once we release the emotions, it's like if you have, if you're carrying around an emotion of anger, so you've got all of this anger built up or held within you, it won't take much for you to feel that anger again. So I don't know yourself, if you're, sometimes something small happens and you have this massive anger response that doesn't really make sense for what's just happened, because somebody else would go, why did that even make you angry? Because it wasn't really much. But if you're already at that heightened state of anger, all it takes is just something small and it blows. So that's kind of where it can it can build and build and build and build until eventually then it's going to blow somewhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's best to get rid of these triggers that cause us to react in unproductive ways, right?
Yeah, I've had so many people that will come to me and say, "Oh, my husband's driving me crazy. My family are, I just can't. They're behaving this way, and it's driving me nuts." And I could work with them for a while, clear their energies, clear the emotions that they're holding on to, and they can come back to me then maybe a month later and go, "But they haven't changed, but I'm not being triggered by it. Doesn't bother me how they're behaving." Or sometimes they even say that their behavior has changed just by them working on themselves, because they're not being triggered by her or their energy as well. So it's like it's a two-way thing. It's all about energy. So when our energy changes, what's around us can change.
Sure.
So a perfect example is the kids, like, because I remember when my kids were small, you'd be having a really stressful day, and it's like that's when they'll act up and they'll be going, doing stuff that they'd never normally do or whatever, or just really acting up. And I remember thinking, why is it when I'm stressed that they behave this way? But it's exactly the reason why they're behaving that way, because they're feeding off my energy. So the more calm I am, or the more relaxed I am, the better and the healthier they feel.
That's it.
Yeah.
It affects everyone around us, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
If we're feeling stressed and anxious, then it's like throwing a pebble into a pond. It's a ripple effect, and our loved ones and family can be affected by that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it can really change the dynamics of the whole family life when we start to work on ourselves and release and clear the stuff that we've been carrying.
Mm. Yeah. And it can be a case of, like, you see it passed down to the generations, isn't it?
Yeah. One of the really interesting parts of the emotion code, and it's something kind of, I don't know if it's dealt with in many more modalities, but it is about the trapped emotions that we hold can actually be inherited as well. So along with the DNA and everything else that makes us, we can actually inherit trapped emotions. So they can go back several generations sometimes as well. And this is where it can get really interesting, because you can get nearly more of an idea of what's going on. Well, not that you get the information, but it makes you kind of wonder what was going on in that life for that ancestor. That there could have been terror, or there could have been horror, even one of them is, some of them are love unreceived is one that kind of comes up a lot as well. So that's when we give love and they're not receiving it back. The love unreceived could be one. So you can actually be born holding these inherited energies.
Well, that's fascinating, really.
It really is. Yeah. And you see it comes up, I'd have people come to me that maybe were adopted and they're like, oh, I don't know my birth parents, but they still have the inherited energies.
Yes.
And sometimes the emotions that come up are like, there's prenatal emotions as well as the inherited. So, if you're carrying a baby and you're feeling, stressed or anxious or whatever else, the baby can actually feel that energy as well. And sometimes hold on to that energy too. So sometimes when I'm dealing with, now everybody can have some prenatal emotions, depending on what was going on in mom's life when the pregnancy was happening. But often you find people that are adopted, they're quite, emotions that might be affected because the mother obviously, was pregnant, maybe not, it was a shock or, whatever it was. And especially back years where they were forced to give away the baby.
Sure.
There could be a lot of emotions there that kind of gives a little understanding sometimes to the person that was adopted, that what might have been going on for the parent at that time. So it's interesting. Yeah.
It's very interesting that it doesn't necessarily have to be a trauma experienced in this life.
Yeah.
Which opens up many, many doors of possibilities after that. Yeah.
And it can be interesting because some people might think, oh, I have this sadness and I don't know where it's come from. It just, or even sometimes they might not know until it's gone how it was affecting them because they've never known life without that energy. But it could be an inherited energy going back several generations. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And, it's great. It's a great feeling when we release the stress and anxiety and that, those toxic energies that we hold on. And, so many people I know that try to put a brave face in it and, just are walking around with the weight of the world on their shoulders. But like the work that you're doing is a great way to help people to release all of that and to be in a much better place, but emotionally, mentally, and physically as well, because it's all connected, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Everything is connected in this way. With the medical side of stuff, you have, specialists in different areas. So as one will deal with the gut and another person will deal with the brain and another person will deal with the heart. But the truth of it all is it's all connected. And there's all different parts of the body. They're all linked and they can always affect the other part. So it's like there's a lot of the connections within the body code that you'll go, oh yeah, so certain muscles will connect in with different organs and stuff as well. So I know, if a certain muscle is out of balance, well then the organ related to that is most likely out of balance as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just about isolating, going, oh, we have a gut issue. That's all it is. It often is linked into other stuff as well. Somebody could come to me with with migraine or something, and it could be an imbalance in the gut, or it could be an imbalance in the big toe. Like, we just never know. And that's the thing, is there's no one set thing for everybody. It's just about working with the whole body and not separating it out into little parts, because everything affects everything. Sure.
But have you got a guideline that, say, if I'm having gut digestive issues, that there's reasons for that over and above what maybe your diet and so on?
Yeah, so basically this is why this is with I don't know, I probably might be able to show you the screen here, but I don't know if it's going to work, but that's the body code. So there's all the 6 areas of imbalance are there. So behind each of those little buttons are a series of maps. So it just brings me through, like I can click in there. Basically, I'm asking the body, is it one of these areas that's causing the imbalance?
Right.
And if it goes to circuits and systems, I'll click on it, circuits and systems, which brings me to the next layer of stuff. And then I was like, okay, so if it's an organ, I'm muscle testing the whole time to check this. So if it's an organ, I will go down and see, okay, so what organ is it? Is it the stomach? Is it the spleen? Is it the lungs? Is it the liver? And we'll check and see so if it's the stomach, I'll click into the stomach, and then we'll go from there. Okay, what's causing the imbalance in the stomach? So again, it could be, a lot of the time it's emotional. So we can go to the emotions then and clear them, and then go back and see, okay, so is the stomach happy now, or is it still imbalanced? And we'll keep going until we get the stomach balanced again. And go from there. So then, is there something else with the causing the issues? And we'll work down until we don't get any more. And it's important as well, you see, with the working with the emotion code and body code, because you're working directly with the body, you can't do too much either, because sometimes you'll find people have these huge healing crises after a session, not in the emotion code or body code, because it prevents you from releasing more than you should do. So the body will get to a stage where it releases what it needs to, and then it'll go, okay, well, we're good now. And it won't let you do anymore. So you don't have those massive healing crises, which is really good. Yeah.
Great. And when you work with your clients, is it just one session, or is it over a couple of sessions over a period of time that you would work with them? I mean, I guess that the change is pretty rapid.
It can be, yeah. Yeah. And there's no set amount of sessions for a person. And that, people like to know exactly how many, but there's no way to possibly tell that, because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
If you have something that's chronic over the last 20 years, chances are it's not going to be healed in one session. Chances are that's going to take quite a few sessions. But the really good thing about this work is we'll generally feel a difference. Most people will feel a difference after one session. If not, you definitely feel a difference if it's going to happen after maybe 2 or 3 sessions for sure. And that's the good thing. So you already know that it's working. You might need a few more before it's before you've got to the issue or got to the root of it all. But yeah, it can take a few sessions.
Yeah. And would there be other strategies, modes of healing that you would include in your work processes? Like, I mean, would you be doing any hypnotherapy type work as well?
Yeah, I do. Now, generally, if someone comes to me for a motion code session, it's just emotion code, body code. I do a few different things, like inner imagery is another one that I can use quite a lot to people that are open to it. It's about visualization. It's not hypnotherapy as such, but it's about visualization to work with the subconscious. Everything I do kind of is about working with the subconscious and with the body, because that's where that's where everything is, that we can to make change from there. But so sometimes it's the inner imagery. So it's just about our body. Our subconscious will talk to us in images, so we can get a lot by working with the inner imagery sometimes. And that can work with kids as well, because they'd be very visual as well and be able to say, so I'd say, if this pain looked like something, what would it look like? And they'd be able to to describe what that might look like. That could look like anything. And it's working with it from that way, then to try and process the emotions that are linked in with that. But the hypnotherapy, I do. So I've trained in clinical hypnotherapy, but what got me into hypnotherapy was Dolores Cannon. I was reading during 2020, as a lot of people were probably doing a lot of reading and a lot of exploring different things. Now, I had heard of Dolores before, but really got into kind of reading her books in 2020 and just found a fascination for the work that she was doing with hypnosis. Sure. So I studied. I'm the type of person that likes to know how to do things. And most people might go and have a session and experience it. I like to know how it's done. So I go and do the courses. So I booked the course for the QHHT, which is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, is Dolores Cannon's method. So went on and did the course of that, and just found it fascinating, where we could go. Because most of the time with QHHT, you most likely will go to a past life, which can be so interesting. But not always. Sometimes it's this lifetime, the stuff that needs to be addressed in this lifetime. It could go anywhere. But it's the healing part of that session, or of that process, I really enjoy as well, because when you go down through, she works a little different, I suppose, than some, I think, as well, because she'll actually, with that process with QHHT, if you go into a past life, you actually bring the person through the death of that lifetime. So they experience the death. Now, they don't have to experience it as in feel it or anything else, but they know exactly what happens, and they'll know what it feels like to leave the body when they die.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had one person who had an extreme fear of death that was affecting his life in lots of different ways. It wasn't even the reason he came for a session. But when he experienced that, he was like, oh my God, what am I fearing? There's nothing to fear. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was able to heal a lot from that. But when we go through the death scene, it actually brings you down into a deeper level of hypnosis. So at that stage, we can, what Dolores would have called the subconscious, because she didn't know what else to call it. But it's an opportunity to talk to the higher self, that all-knowing part of ourselves that has all the answers. So it's an opportunity to bring in that energy and maybe ask the questions that we were always wanting to find. One of the main questions people will come with that is, you know, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing in this lifetime? And we can get answers like that, which is incredible. And healing can happen in that as well. So that can be about letting go of the energies and the emotions and everything else that might be affecting us in this lifetime too, in that as well. Yeah, with the QHHT.
Yeah. Well, all the work that you're doing essentially is you're tapping into the subconscious mind.
Yeah, no matter what way, you know, it might work at it from different angles or with different modalities, but the basis of it is it's the subconscious. Yeah, it's working with the body.
Or even I don't know, like I haven't researched it too much, but I've heard of the term, I'm sure you have, the superconscious.
Superconscious is
Mind.
another word.
I've heard the term, obviously the higher self.
Yeah, there's a lots of different words people use. So some people will use the oversoul, the higher self, the superconscious, I don't know, there's several different names and words that people use, but basically it's kind of that all-knowing part of ourselves. Because there is, you know, people don't realize how amazing they actually are and how amazing their you know, their bodies are. But we do have that, you know, we have that all-knowing part of ourselves.
Yeah. Great stuff. Like, it's absolutely fascinating stuff. I know I don't personally do past life regressions myself in my practice here, because like it's not my area of expertise. So the next inquiry I have along those lines is coming your way.
Oh, great. Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah.
Because I'm more into like the work that I do here at my office. I like to keep it like simple, in a sense of like it's a black and white result. If someone comes in to see me to quit smoking, you know, they're leaving a non-smoker, and that's it. With past life, it's you know, I've done one or two of them now. Like a long time ago, I actually started the same time as you with the economic crash back in 2008, and I was made redundant myself in 2010. So
so it's a very similar,
it's a very, very similar journey. That when you were telling it there, I was thinking. And in the early days of my journey, I did attempt a couple of past life regression sessions, you know, as part of my training and all of that. Like, you know, the way you're starting out, you're looking, you don't know really what your niche is.
Yeah.
You know, it took me anyway, some time to kind of be comfortable and decide what my niche, what I wanted to do. Well, I really think like it's such a fascinating area, and you know, it's great to have skilled practitioners that do this kind of work, you know, because it is really badly needed. I'm definitely open to it, and I suppose, as you know yourself, like if someone is coming to see you regarding it, they're going to be open to it already, really, aren't they?
I think, if there's somebody coming for a QHHT session, they're going to be open to past lives. So you're not going to spring anything on them and take them out of there, because, you know, it goes with the person's belief system. You know, because there will be, and that's it, and everything, you know, there'll be some people that past lives just is not a thing, and that's okay, and that's perfect for them. But there are other people then would be, yes, you know, there's past lives, and they're the people that's going to come for a QHHT or for, you know, quantum healing session, because that's generally where you go to, is past lives. But yeah, so it's not like you're coming in for a hypnosis session and I'm going to spring something that goes totally against your belief system, because that's never going to work anyway.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we know that the client must be at the threshold to wanting to make the transformation. That's essential, no matter if you're coming to see us for quit smoking or do some of the work that you're doing, whether it be the past life regression or the emotional and body code work that you do.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
at the end of the day, I mean, we're just trained, skilled to facilitate process, really. That's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like there can be so many hidden like traumas and you know emotions that we don't realize that you know we tend to dismiss. And you know I found in my own life that you know I had to do a lot of work on myself in terms of I'd be like reacting in a way that wouldn't be productive, even though like consciously you kind of like you know a few minutes later you'd realize you know well that wasn't the smartest response in the book. But as you said, like it's not necessarily you know traumas that are kind of created within us in this life. It could be something else.
It could be anything. Yeah. So as I said, it could be that inherited stuff as well. Very rarely I would find emotions that come up. Now that we do have past life emotions for sure, but in an emotion code session, it's generally about the emotions that are to do with this life and maybe inherited energies or prenatal energies as well. Very occasionally I might find one that might be a past life thing, but again, I don't go against the belief system of the person in front of me either. Yeah. So
and it's coming across, I know that like we've been in contact before, but it's the first time that we've had a chat in person. And your passion for what you're doing really comes across, and you really love what you do. And like what do you get most out of the work that you do? What do you enjoy most about it?
Do you know, I think it's when I get a message or a phone call or a text or something for somebody to say, oh my God, I feel amazing, or this issue's gone, or that just makes my day. Like that's just what it's all about, because it's just about people being able to overcome the issues that they're working with. So, you know, if it's physical pain or if it's anxiety or if it's something like that, is just hearing those just makes it all worthwhile, you know. And that can be from anyone to like I had a child, worked with a child who he was only, I think he might have been only 10 at the time, and was really self-conscious, really didn't like himself, wouldn't look in the mirror, was just terrible. He had been, you know, called names in school and stuff. And, you know, I did a session with him, and when he came back for a second session, his mom was telling me that they had made him late because he was gelling his hair. He was, you know, so happy with, you know, doing his hair and having it exactly right and everything. So he was, you know, spending time looking in the mirror, doing his hair and everything. And he was just a different kid. It was just, it was really cool. So just little things like that. And there's one thing I'd say with children as well. Oftentimes they only need one session because they're not carrying the crap that we're carrying, you know, that we've had quite a few more years here to build up some stuff. So kids generally don't have that much stuff that they're holding on to, so they can actually one session can make a huge difference for a kid's life, depending on what they're dealing with. And that's the beauty of it as well. It doesn't matter the age of the person with the emotion code or the body code, you know, you can just work with like I think the youngest I've ever worked with was like a couple of weeks old.
Right. Okay.
Or technically, I would have worked with babies in the womb as well. So I probably have worked with younger than that before they were even born. So yeah.
And you mind me asking what ages now are your own children? Are they?
Oh, they're not children anymore. They're adults. So they are.
Adults, right?
Yeah, my eldest girl, she's going to be 23 this month, and my youngest, then he's 21. So yeah.
And what do they think of the work that you're doing? Are they or the
Yeah,
fads?
no,
Yeah.
no. My daughter would definitely be interested, and she's funny because she'll get me to muscle test because with the muscle testing you can check and see what foods are good for you to have and what supplements and or what you shouldn't be eating maybe as well. But it can also check products and for your skin and all that kind of stuff, what might be good and what mightn't be. So I'll regularly get messages or I say, will you test this for me and check, if she wanted to get a particular, product for her skin or something like that. So she'll be messaging me here so much. My son is not as open to it, but he will look for, if he does need some help, he'll ask as well. But she's
Sure, sure.
definitely more open to it than he is. But yeah.
Yeah. But I find that, the fact that you're our parent, I know your kids are going up now, that
Yeah.
it does help. I mean, from my point of view, you probably know I have two children, 10 and 8.
Hmm.
It's really helped me to kind of interact with children a lot more effectively and understand them because,
Yes,
before
definitely.
that, like, I'm not saying you can't do that, but it does help when you have that kind of everyday kind of practice and interaction, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you kind of know how
Mm.
to deal with them because, like,
Yeah.
sometimes parents will contact me and they'll say, I want my teenager to come to you, but they don't want to do a Zoom with you. And it's like, of course they don't. They're a teenager. They don't want to sit and talk to me for me to talk about their emotions and stuff as well. There's not a chance that they want to do that. Um,
Mm.
so in that way, this is really good the way this can work as well for kids. You actually don't have to have them in person or even on a Zoom. The parent can do it for them. So once they're under 18, the parent can give their permission for me to connect in with their energy and do the session without them having to sit and listen to me talking about emotions because
Sure.
most teenagers I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Um, so that can be really helpful.
Okay, so sorry to cut across you there, Julie.
Yeah, you're grand.
So what's the most common issues that come up for children that you
For young
experience?
children, yeah, you're talking. There's a lot of anxiety, and a lot of anxiety, especially that whole COVID, those couple of years where they were kind of, taken out of everything and isolated away from
Yeah,
school and friends and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of anxiety coming from that, and not just that. Those kids now they are dealing with a lot of anxiety. So anxiety would be a big thing for kids. Sleep issues would be another one. Where they're not able to go, which kind of comes back to a lot of the time anxiety as well. But so sleep issues, some digestive issues as well. So that can really help as well with kids. So digestive issues as well would be another one. So they're kind of the anything really. Then if they have pains or if they have
yeah,
as I said, social anxiety as well is another one. Difficulty kind of making friends or so it can be anything.
sure.
That's the beauty of the emotion code. It's
Yeah.
kind of no
Well,
matter
I
what
have
it
a
is,
10
you can
year
work
my
with it.
10-year-old, she's just finding out all about the world and in school and stuff. And it can be very challenging time, for a 10-year-old,
Yeah,
like you're making friends and different circles and different challenges like when you're just at that age when
yeah,
you're growing up,
absolutely.
but you're finding out that life isn't always fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think kind of going into secondary school can be a big part of it can be a really big issue for some kids as well because it's such a massive change. And
Mm.
what I find now is kids are very sensitive. I mean that in a positive way, because I do
Mm.
think the world's changing, and the children that are coming in are of a different energy, to what we would have known,
Yeah,
growing up. So they're definitely more aware of energies, and they're more sensitive to other people, I think, as well. So a lot of the time, if they're in spaces with a lot of heavy energy, they feel it, and it can affect them. So there's just I think it's a good sign that kids now are more sensitive because I think the world is changing. Yeah,
yeah.
that's just my view on it. But
Well, it is a different world than
yeah,
we grew up in. I mean, obviously, like you have technology that is all around us that is great in many ways, but in other ways that you know, it can be a distraction, like especially for children. You know,
Yeah.
it's a scary thing, like, you know, the internet and, you know, mobile phones and so on, that
Yeah.
like definitely as a parent, I feel that very assertive that I need to manage and, you know, keep
Yeah.
them away from that kind of stuff for as long as possible.
As long as you possibly can, yeah. Yeah, once you can still get them out in the world and out into nature and out into
Yeah.
you know, just to play is so important. Yeah, but it's, yeah, because even it's the times have changed even to when, you know, my kids were younger and they didn't have as much of that. It was there to an extent, but it was easier to keep them away from it for longer than it is now. Because now, if you know, you've babies able to work the phones and stuff, which is, it's always amazing to me to know that they're nearly born knowing how to do it now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Jillian, just keep an eye on the time there, and it's been flying chatting to you, and I'm absorbed in the discussion, finding out all about the emotion code and the body code, which I said I didn't know a huge amount about, and I know there's probably so much to it. You could probably write a book in it at this point, could you?
Oh yeah, yeah, you could
You
go on and
probably
on
have.
forever talking about it. Well, no, no, but not quite. But yeah, no, I could talk about it forever. Yeah.
Yeah, so you must write that book. Maybe that's an idea for you.
Yeah, I think I don't know about a book. They say there's a book in everyone, but I don't know.
Following in Dolores Cannon's footsteps.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So, is there any words of wisdom you'd like to share with myself and my listeners before you say goodbye here today?
I don't know. I suppose the only thing that would be for people to kind of, if, you know, if they are dealing with any kind of um, physical issues or diseases or, you know, something like that, as well as to maybe to consider what the emotional side of it might be. So what emotions they might be holding on to, or that it's not always about, you know, the physical, that it hasn't come from nowhere. There's a reason for it. So it's, you know, what is it trying to teach them, or what is it they need to know about it, um, and maybe look into more of that way of, you know, healing, rather than, you know, going. I think, well, probably people watching this are probably more open to holistic healing and stuff anyway, more than the conventional kind of, is there a pill to fix it? Because usually there's
Sure.
underlying reasons for the issues that we're dealing with, and when
Sure.
we can address them, the body can heal.
Well, that's a whole other discussion
Yeah.
for the podcast.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, because it's true. I mean, unfortunately, like, there's so many people out there that outsource their, you know, the responsibility for their health to third parties, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's some good doctors out there, but you know, so many people get caught up in that roundabout of the
Mm.
medications and so on, and that tends to exaggerate, doesn't it? It tends to
Yeah.
create more problems than they're looking to solve.
Yeah. And that's it. And I think, you know, the name of your podcast as well as The Power Within. If we only knew the power within, um, you know, our lives could be so much easier.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. It is like, that is the thing, is the power within the name of this podcast. And an example would be, in my case here in the practice that I'm have here in Waterford City, is, you know, if someone contacts me for a quit smoking session, and that, like, I'm very, you know, from the get-go, you know, I'm communicating to them that, like, you have the power to do this. This will be easy for you to do this. Because, you know, even when it comes to smoking, there's a huge suggestion put out there to smokers that it's such a difficult thing to do, and
Yeah, absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, you need, you know, you can't do it yourself. Like, and this is put out by the medical establishment, the media,
Yeah.
the whole lot. And at the end of the day, it's, you know, it is relatively easy if you do it like the right way and you believe that you can do it.
Yeah.
And but it's, you know, getting them to believe that can be the hard thing.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
because I can
That's
believe,
it.
we
Because
can
there's been
believe.
so many programming that say it's hard, yeah, to overcome that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the little things, and I'm sure you're aware of as well, and folks, just to be careful of the words that we use, isn't it? From
Yeah.
our self-talk, we talk to ourselves both out loud and to ourselves. You know, little words that we can use, like try. I'm going to try and do this. I'm going to try and give up that. even if you can change that, the wording in what you're telling yourself, then that can have a huge difference, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do say to people as well, is to treat your body like you're the god of the universe, of your own. Like, you see, if you see your own body as a universe, and like, what words do you want to say to your liver, or to your gut, or to your brain, or because it's all about the energy, and it's all about the words that we use. So if we're going to, constantly give out that our knee is not supporting us, or our knee is causing the issues, it's like, start changing the words that you use about, when you're talking to your knee. Is look what it's done, look how far it's carried you. Maybe if you're carrying extra weight, look, it's had to support that as well. So it's a bit change in how we speak to our own bodies. Yeah.
Sure. And as you were saying earlier, once you make those changes within yourself, like, it is an energy thing, and it's like throwing a pebble into a pond. Everything, there's a ripple effect, and
Absolutely.
you find that your life is going to improve in so many ways all around you, in terms of your relationships with your close ones, your family, your friends, and in your work environment as well.
Yeah,
because it does start with you, doesn't it? And with number one, and once you once you're contented and at peace with yourself, the world, and everyone in it, then that's going to come across.
Yeah, then you reflect that. Yeah.
Instead of the opposite side of the coin. I mean, if you're stressed and anxious and uptight, and look at, I've been that way myself. Like, I mean, that is going to come across as well, and sometimes that can impact in a negative way on the people that are around us. So folks, get in touch with Jillian if you have any of these type of issues. She's the one that's going to help you and heal you using the emotion code and the body code, which is fascinating, so interesting. I'm sure there's so much more to find out about it. Is there any, have you a website, or is there any so you can point people in the right direction if they want to find out more?
Sure, yeah. So my website, it's just my name. So it's www.jillianskehan.ie, and you'll find me there, and all my contact details there if you want.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Thank you.
So Jillian, thanks very much for your time coming on the podcast here today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
And it's a great energy. I really felt we had a great discussion, and I hope you agree with us, folks. I've certainly enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. So Jillian, listen, keep up the great work, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Okay, folks, it's that time again to say goodbye. This is the Power Within podcast. My name is Trevor Evers. I'm your host, and until the next episode of the podcast, be good to yourselves, take care, and we'll see you on the next episode of the podcast. Take care, folks.